If you thought you knew Miss Marple's first four cases, think again. Today, I'm walking through the clever misdirections and blink and you'll miss them clues Agatha Christie hides in plain sight. Full spoilers for the murder at the vicarage, the body in the library, the moving finger, and a murder is announced. This is part one of my Miss Marple reread. It is part of my full personal curriculum, and I'm sharing what I missed the first time, what most readers overlook, and how Christie's bag of tricks evolve. Okay, let's go back to St Mary's Mead. So our first Marple is the murder at the vicarage, and I have to say, Christie starts mean in this one, because we have a colonel who is shot in the vicarage study, which is awkward because our mild-mannered narrator has literally said the world would be better off if someone bumped the colonel off. So we get two heartfelt confessions, both of them are wrong, and a very energetic inspector who manages to irritate absolutely everyone, while of course getting nowhere. Now what makes this Marple debut interesting isn't just the whodunit, it's how Christie uses point of view. Because the vicar is a little naive, and I think she did that on purpose. And his calm, reasonable voice lulls you in while crucial details just slide past you. But Miss Marple, living next door and seeing everything, notices the human nature tell that the vicar himself smooths over. Now, when it comes to things I missed the first time, I think there are a few things I'm not so sure I caught my first read, and it's the fact that the note and time business isn't just timetable fuss. It's actually a manufactured impression about when events occurred. And once you stop trusting that paper trail, the stagecraft really peeks through. There's also identity games that are already here. So that Dr. Stone business, that assumed identity matters. Christie is really training us to doubt who we think we're looking at, not just when things happen. And of course, the village gossip. Now, I did notice this in my first read, but gossip isn't noise. And I love that Christie plants motive, means, and opportunity inside those seemingly harmless chats. Now, I have to say, the solution still feels audacious. The two individual confessions are true together, which is classic Christie misassumption. And I love that the killers try to recruit Miss Marple as their dupe by performing sincerity right in front of her. And the way she smiles and she's just knitting and quietly declines to be managed, chef's kiss. So as a first live case for Jane, it really is less flashy than later Marples, but you really see the template where you have multiple plausible suspects, misleading documents, quiet impersonation, and Miss Marple reading people more accurately than anyone else. Now, the second Marple is the body in the library, and this is actually my very first Agatha Christie that I've ever read ever. Now, this is a perfect Christie headline to me, because we have Mrs. Bantry who wakes up to a maid shrieking, there's a body in the library, and it shouldn't work, but it works completely. Now, here's the neat trick. I think Christie gives us two bodies and one identity problem, because everyone is told the library victim is Ruby Keene, a dance hostess, young, glamorous, recently attached to this wealthy family. And of course, you have the family politics, which are instantly messy, because you have money, adoption, resentment, a lot of things. And then a second body turns up in a burnt out car, and the floor just drops away. Now, what I missed the first time, I think, and what maybe a lot of us might miss, is how ruthlessly fair Christie is with misidentification, because Miss Marple quietly clocks the physical details that don't line up, like the hands and nails on the so-called Ruby in the library, and what starts you questioning who's actually who. Now, once you yank that thread, the whole plot, the adoption, the jealousies, the timing, everything just rearranges itself. And two more bits I think maybe people might skim past is that the library isn't symbolic, it's public, it's accessible. Christie wants witnesses and shock value. And Miss Marple interviewing with the schoolgirls is not something that's kind of cute. It's actually where she sees and really gets real observation from excited storytelling and gets one detail that actually tilts the case. So by the time we reach the reveal, we have two people who are conspirators, deliberate body swaps, and a timeline built on false certainty. I think this is classic Christie déjà vu, because she's repackaging an idea she's used elsewhere, but the staging is so clever, you only see the pattern in hindsight. Now, Marple number 3 is the moving finger, and I really adore how sly this one is, because on the surface, it's a poison pen letter story in line stock, anonymous notes, ugly insinuations, lots of village unease, and our narrator, Jerry, is convalescing. So he and his sister are outsiders, which is great for watching people, but also terrible for reading the social cues. So Christie's cheeky move here is to make the letters feel like the crime, but they really aren't. And Miss Marple turns up late and says, essentially, look, forget the letters, a murder happened. And that reframing is everything. So the letters are camouflage for a very specific plan. And once you ask who benefits from this death, the shape of the killer really starts to appear. Now, some of the things I think I missed my first go round was Christie really jabs and pokes handwriting analysis, because we're invited to overtrust scientific certainty when psychology and motives really do the real work. And Jerry's physical recovery quietly mirrors the village recovering from suspicion when he stops flinching. People stop flinching at each other too. And also, pay attention to Megan. Her transformation isn't just makeover fun. It's the emotional hinge that helps expose the killer's control. So this again is not the showiest Marple, but it's very airtight. And the letters are misdirection. And the suicide is murder. And Miss Marple wins again by refusing to be hypnotized by props. Now, our fourth Marple is a murder is announced. And with this book, we are entering the big leagues because we have a village paper running a notice that says a murder is announced and will take place, and everyone shows up to rubberneck. Lights out, gunshots, and intruders dead on the floor. It is gloriously theatrical. And that right there is your clue. The fact that the whole thing is staged. Now, I think what Christie is doing here is a masterclass in identity. Because while the police are chasing down rumors about mysterious heirs, Miss Marple is watching the room. Because the key isn't an exotic backstory, it's the details we all look past and how people address each other, what old friends assume they know, the little odd slips here and there, and things people laugh off. Now, I think the two most mistells, one is Dora, okay? Dora's silly comments, because when she models names, she's not just being featherbrained, she's saying something very vital about who someone really is. Now, everyone, including the reader, okay, me included, dismisses her, and I feel like that is the trap. Another thing is the drawing room choreography during the blackout, because Christie actually plays fair with that one. Positions, angles, and what each person could perceive in the chaos. It reads like atmosphere, and I'm realizing now it's actually mechanics. And I also love how Christie uses village doubling, because we have Miss Marple mapping people in Chipping Cleghorn to people back in St Mary's Mead. Now that's her method in a nutshell. Not fancy forensic, but just better pattern matching of, again, human nature. So when the mask finally drops and we see the identity switch and why this gathering had to happen exactly this way, it's one of those endings where you flip back and think, oh, you told me. I just wasn't listening. Now, having read these 4 books and looking back, I'm really trying to see what Christie was building across these 4 books. And when I step back, I think you can kind of see the playbook forming because one, we have the village kind of being a lab in a way, because it has tiny wells where class, habit, and gossip are informational points, they're not really just setting. And the physical proof is very fragile unless you pair it with motive and behavior. So a note, a burnt car, a handwriting sample. Christie's really showing us how easily those can be staged. And also there's the identity versus alibi, because again and again we're wrong about who someone is and not just where they were. And of course, Miss Marple, she doesn't out-detect the police. She out-understands people. She assumes vices and virtues are evenly distributed, and she really proceeds from there. So that's my Marple book 1 through to 4 update. Up next, I will be doing 5, 6, 7, and 8. And I think this is where Christie gets bolder with structure and even trickier with disguise. So if these first 4 are the foundation, will the next 4 kind of be where the architect flourishes, From memory, I will say yes, but I'm very excited to reread and report back and let you know what I think. But now is when I'd love to hear from you. Let me know which tiny clue in these 4 made you go, how did I miss this? What is going on? Was it the misidentification in the library, or Dora's nonsense talking in A Murder is Announced, or the letters as camouflage in The Moving Finger? And of course, oh yes, that sneaky note in the vicarage. Let me know your moment below. I'm really excited to hear it. And you know what? I will make mention of the things that most people missed in our next video. Now, if you haven't already, now's a great time to check out my fall personal curriculum video. I had mentioned in that video I was doing a Miss Marple reread, but you can also find out what other activities I have planned for my fall semester. But before you hop over there, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you're the first to know what's new when I go live and when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching, and talk to you soon.